Yo, what's up guys, and welcome to a new explaining video. This time I'm going to explain how I made our track Reckless. It's a track with Pollyanna, she did the vocal on it, and it's out now on Spinning Records. This is what it sounds like. Of course, one of the main things of this track is the vocal by Pollyanna. She's a Dutch vocalist with a really good voice, I think. And I applied a couple of different effects to her voice to kind of give it some edge or something. Let's just listen to the first break. So if you listen to the vocal dry, without any effects, it sounds like this. I don't mind ya looking for trouble. That vocal just needed some grit, and the way I did that is I added different copies of the vocal. And if we just listen to those copies one by one, I think it's this one. So they are down here. I don't mind ya looking for trouble. That's one, like a stuttery kind of effect. A vocoder effect. And a vocal where the formant is pitch shift down. And then in this part, there's actually one more effect being added. So all those effects together. Those effects are what was really needed for this vocal to fit into the overall grittiness of this track. So that's one of the things that I did to the vocal. This other thing I did is this stuttery vocal chop bit. Maybe it's fun to show you guys just quickly how I made those vocal chops right there. What I did is I took the vocal. Let's just apply some quick processing to that. What I then added is a vocal synth by Isotope. And this plugin has a couple of different effects. There's Polyvox, there's a vocoder, there's CompuVox. This is how I made those effect tracks that were underneath the vocal. But what I also did with this plugin is use the shredder. So what I just did is I added Edison to record all the effects that I was applying to this vocal. And then I just started twisting knobs. I don't mind ya. I just did that for a couple of takes. Then I saved this recording. And I simply put the recording back into the project. So let's just take the recording that I did back then, which is this one, I think. It's now simply a matter of finding the cool sounding vocal chops and then kind of glue them together. I think this track is a really gritty track in the drop, but I think in the break I kind of get a progressive house feel, which I think works really well in contrast with the grittiness of the drop. There's chords going on with a arpeggiator on top of that. it has something sad in there, but it's not really sad, you know. And especially combined with the vocal, which is pretty upbeat, you know. It's like it has sadness in it, but it doesn't make you sad. And I think that's just the right combination. That's the whole theme of the break. And in the second break, it's just slightly more developed, you know. The arpeggiator has a different sound going on. This sound, which is the sound that I use for the bass sound in Wezol chants. So that sound, along with the trancey kind of chords, which is silent, they all make up for the festival kind of theme of this second break. Is there something interesting going on in the build-up? Yeah, one of the things I'm doing with the vocal in the second build-up is I shift the formants of it. By shifting the formants of the with me vocal right there, you're not really doing the pitch shifting of the vocal, which is done a lot in EDM tracks, but you're using the formant of the vocal and pitching that down. So that's like a slight difference of how I usually build something up. So I think that's a cool detail. What I'm doing in the first build is I'm using the sound that I use in the drop as a riser. Well, not really a riser because it's not getting pitched, but more as a kind of swell. So that's this sound right here. I just took the synth that I use in the drop and also the bass that I use in the break, and then I simply gave those sounds some volume automation and some filtering. And those together are just giving the song some swell, but also something melodic in that build-up. So that vocal that's going on there, you know, there's a completely new vocal section here going on. That vocal has some kind of harmonic content underneath it, so it doesn't just sit on a bed of percussion and snares and claps and white noise, you know. There's actually something melodic going on. The drop has a couple of different interesting things. Of course, the first thing that you notice is that I'm using the same kind of trick as I'm using in my remix for Gramercy, and that trick is that I use or I skip the first 2 bars of the drop. Those 2 bars are solely being used for the introduction of the melody. As you can see here, I rendered out the leads because I was having CPU issues, of course, but I still have them right here. And this time I'm not using Harmor. Whoa, I'm using Serum. So that sounds... The bass sound is 3 different sounds. Not really an interesting bass sound because, yeah, it's all about the chords. So yeah, that's the whole drop sound. Then further in the track there's some overlaying lead being added, which is not really that interesting as well. You can see all these small audio files right here. And all those audio files are variations that are going on. There's also a guitar going on and a disco lead. So that's the bass with some guitar strumming. Lots of reverses. So much stuff. On its own, that sounds really lame, but in the track, I already explained how I made these kind of loops in my previous video about the Goldfish remix, but I can just show it real quick. So effects loop 299 is where the loop originated. 299. Don't crash. Don't crash on me. Don't crash on me. Ooh. Okay. We got a crash, soldier. Save changes? Nope. Okay. Where were we? So I took that loop, made it smaller, and pitch shifted it up. Something like that. And then I made some kind of loop out of that sound. Something like that. And then I exported that and put it into Iris, Isotope Iris. And with Iris you can control different harmonics in a different way. These patterns are different volume automations, for example. So that sound became this rendered out sound. If you like the track, don't forget to stream it on Spotify or to buy it on Beatport, whatever. And also don't forget to check out the video clip that hopefully came out last Monday, or maybe, yeah, I think it's out. It's a great video where Bart and I are running through the park and doing all sorts of crazy stuff, just the usual stuff that you expect from Mr. Bell and Wezol. And also, Pollyanna has a small role in that video. So go check that out. I hope you had fun, and I hope to see you again in another video. Bye guys.